love bagging.
Bagging.
Oh, bagging. It's like bagging.
Bagel, not a bagel, you jerk.
Are we teabagging?
Jig is up, the news is out. Time for Adam and Lowry, the renegade with plays we make. On Commanders we will pee. Never lead you more astray. You need to listen in today of Non-Brother Fam.
Oh, damn. This is the first one where I'm like...
Written by Aussie Nate, performed by CommanderSmiths Lowry. The name of the title is in that song. It made it kept in.
Oh man, what the hell is it? Oh, I give up. I can't think of it.
Renegade by Styx.
Oh, see, I would have not got that. I know the song, but I wouldn't have got that at all.
Classic.
I suck.
That's good. No, come on.
Nate's been given the hard ones where I can't guess them.
He's so good
Although,
at this.
the Tool one, I have to give a little side note to that because I feel bad that I didn't get that.
That was like a month ago.
I was a little hungover that day, and so my brain wasn't functioning correctly.
And I'm pretty sure Aussie Nate is like an aspiring songwriter.
Yeah, for us.
He's
for the
CommanderSmiths.
Yeah.
But he probably could find a gig in it. I know.
Yeah,
I believe in you, Nate.
Welcome to CommanderSmiths.
We are the CommanderSmiths.
I am Adam Smith.
And I am Lowry Smith.
Don't worry.
We are cousins.
Yeah, we got that down.
Yeah, first time in like 2 months.
Yeah. This is episode number 55.
Still over a year. We're getting good at this.
Yeah, we are. Kind of. Sort of. Kind of got a big episode today, but first we have some announcements to make. It's like going to school.
Yeah.
And some of the announcements as today's news.
Taking attendance, too.
Yeah. Well, first off, you guys can follow us on Twitter, where you can find some cool stuff like what? What can they find on Twitter with that?
Some news that we will talk about now too, but you'll be up on the jump start of Modern Horizons. We kind of did an announcement on that. I post beers that I'm not sharing with Adam.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed with that.
Very enjoyable for me.
Not enjoy that. Especially
Yummy.
when you post a beer that you're not sharing and it's a sour. I'm like, fuck, I want that.
Very enjoyable for me.
And then I also have the not Instaspecs. Well, that's on there, but the Proxy of the Week. Instaspecs.
We're trying to, grease those wheels. We're getting better at it. I still forget to say, like, hey, this is Lowry at the bottom of it. But
CS Lowry. Eventually, we'll have our own Twitter.
I don't know about
maybe.
that.
I don't know. I kind of like to have it.
You can do your own thing, and I'll just be under CommanderSmiths.
And then you can also go on YouTube, and that's the best free way to support our show.
Sure, yeah. Share, like, and subscribe is always wonderful.
Yeah. We also have some videos on there. We actually kind of shot a video tonight. We're necessarily
practicing gameplay, and so we're going to start working into that. Might still be a little. There's kinks.
Yep. That's kind of why we did it tonight, to see, all right, when we get into the editing process, we can kind of see, okay, we need to do this more. So we're doing practice runs now.
We're not going to give you trash.
Yeah.
Not like our podcast.
We're still have battle boxes, which we do on there, which will be coming out. You're giggling about something.
I just called us trash.
Okay. Well, we are trashy.
No. We're classy folks.
Have you listened to our openers? Half of our openers are pretty dirty. Hey, you're not supposed to drink that beer.
Yeah, well, I got thirsty.
What are we drinking, Lowry?
We're in the middle of this is
what are you sharing?
Double faction,
what are you sharing with Adam this week?
Double protection?
Double
factor sun protection, fruit punch milkshake IPA. It's a lot of crazy stuff. So this is from Modest Brewing in Minnesota.
Oh, nice.
And this is a beer that is fully funding a brewery burnt down in Minnesota. It's called Portage Brewing.
I remember that place.
And so all the proceeds of this beer go to that rebuilding of that brewery.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. Well, cheers. I like the can on that too. It's pretty sweet.
See.
The normal Adam response is...
You're probably wrong. This is delicious.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
I would probably down this pretty damn quick because it's light enough for me.
It's quite good. I think I'm discovering that I like the milkshake IPAs. So
your milkshake brings all the boys to the yard because they're like, it's better than yours.
My wife made that joke
damn
as
right,
well.
It's better than yours.
Yes, I will go to all the yards if they have milkshake IPAs.
And then, like I said, we already did YouTube. And then you can email us Song suggestions, specs. We
Love
always like to
letters.
hear specs. Love letters.
Yeah.
Yes, you guys heard that last week. Lowry's
Whenever
love
is Adam
letter.
wrong, send him.
Or
those
we were
emails.
wrong, and so far Lowry's the wrong one. And then any questions you might have. But then we have a new thing, Patreon. We mentioned it last week.
Yep. So I did get that set up, I believe. I don't know how to work it. So if you go on and donate, please email us on how it works.
Yeah, right. Tell us how it works. No, but you did get it set up. So what we are going to do at this moment, or this isn't going to be permanent, but anybody that donates for the month of March to us, any amount, doesn't matter, $1, whatever, $5, $20, whatever you want to donate.
Go crazy with at least 3.
Yeah.
I want a $2 Jefferson.
We will send you the proxy of the week. You can choose one of the cards that is on,
that you tweet.
that we tweet. So you get to pick one of those out, and we also need your address, so we'll need to send it somewhere.
Yeah.
So at that time, you can tell us which
Like
one
how
you
we're
want.
trying to get you on Twitter.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah. Bring it. Come on over. Doesn't matter. If you donate, we'll figure it out. We'll tell you.
So yeah, this is just the start of it. We will have this fine-tuned as we go on, but we wanted to get it up and running, and we wanted to give you guys something in return if you actually donate. So
Yeah. It would be much
There
appreciated
is
and it'd be cool.
that now we should actually move into what we're actually going to talk about this week. What are we talking about? How many segments we got this week?
This is my 4. So we're going to talk about some of the gameplay that we had when we were trying to record games.
Yeah.
We had pretty cool things
Yeah,
happen.
the one we
shitty for
actually
me.
recorded was really freaking cool. So that'll be interesting to talk about.
Next one, we're going to have a segment that's what would you do?
And it's going to be kind of a reoccurring segment because this is...
We're going to try and make it, yeah. Next, we will talk about Modern Horizons, which is what I brought up about news on Twitter. And we'll just get into that.
Yep. And then the last thing we will end with is TCG Cart Fillers. So we'll kind of explain that a little bit more and how this is going to benefit you for when you use TCG and you're doing your specs and all that stuff. What cards to help fill your cart with. So, all right, let's start with our gameplay.
Excuse me.
Did you fart?
I think no, I burped.
Oh,
Well, I mean,
you also
farted out of my mouth.
You leaned over, so I thought for sure it was a fart.
It kind of moved me. Right here in my heart.
Nice.
Moved me.
So
Gameplay.
What do we play here? You played.
So I played Kestia. I've killed Estrad as my enchantment deck, and Kestia is the Bestow legend from the latest Commander set. And I want to use all those enchantments that I had. And so I really have enjoyed it. At this point, we're not doing a deck tech on it or anything or spotlight. But you just finished it this week, right? Yeah, I just kind of set it up on Friday, tested it a little bit Saturday night. It is currently Sunday night. But it was pretty fun. You were playing Teysa. And then Adam number 2 was playing, what's her name? Or the wizard that has prowess. Adelise. Yeah. So Teysa got out freaking quick and everything was working. What did brutal. I have? I had, what did I start out with? Shit. Oh, did I have land tax right away, right off the bat? That was the second game. That is the second game. Okay. Shit. But the first game, you just hit every land. You had Teysa. You ended up like... There was enchantments. You had Lifeline. Oh, Lifeline. I was like, there was something you had to destroy. He was sacrificing Afterlife cards with Teysa in play. They're coming back. Scrying and looking at my top cards. Viscera Seer. And then you're making, 2 1/1 flyers multiple times around. It was just like, holy crap. So all lifelink. By the time I think turn 5 rolled around, it turned into... Adam number 2 and Lowry destroy Absolutely. Adam. So they were just... And I was attacking you with an 8/8 umbral mantled octopus hexproof thing, and you were just like, I'll take it. I'm gonna hit you for 8 and gain 8 life. I was just like, oh my goodness. I couldn't do anything about it. With Lowry coming at me with everything, I was trying to find answers, and I started sacrificing. Well, because they started... we were definitely trying to remove your stuff. Yeah, because Adam had the... If he did damage to my creature, he would take it, and he had his little pinging, which we used to call binkies, his little wizard that would do 1 damage to any target. And so they were taking out my Teysa, so in response, I was sacrificing things to make it so that I had more 1/1s, and then I'd sacrifice them to scry, and so my army dwindled down, and then it turned into... I Beast Within your Lifeline, which was doing amazing work. And for a second there, Adam number 2 looked like the beater because he had a 5/5 Sphinx that
couldn't have stuff countered, but we don't counter, so it doesn't matter.
And then he stole my Bruna, which was a 15-15 vigilance.
As you were
trample.
attacking me with it.
Yeah.
He stole it from you, blocked your creature, killed it. Or no, just Bruna took one of its
Yeah, took one of the Umbras off because he blocked my Ronus indestructible. Yeah, it was kind of a weird situation, but it definitely worked out.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. And then I eventually killed his guy, Willbender, because he was going to kill my scrying guy. So I was like, all right, I kill your taking stuff and whatever. So then you got your guy back, and then you were able to kind of...
I started, like, I kind of missed my land drop on turn 3 and 4, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But once I got my third land, I laid down Thassa and was able to start hitting my land drops more consistently. And at the end of the game, I had like a Sigarda, Host of Herons in play, which is 5/5 flying hexproof, and then my opponents can't force me to sacrifice things.
Yeah,
and then
that was brutal. That ended up being so brutal. Like, because then I had a freaking Butcher of Malachar that I cast, and as soon as I cast it, I was like, shit! Like, the point
I
of
couldn't
it
sacrifice any.
So I was like, damn it! So then he played that white card to make us...
Council's Judgment.
Yeah.
It was just a sweet card.
And so he was trying to take out my attrition.
Well, I picked attrition.
Yeah, you picked attrition.
You picked
Butcher of Malachar because I didn't want Adam number 2's creatures to die. So I was like, pick my butcher, kill my butcher, because otherwise it's going to hurt you.
Yeah.
So anyways, Larry gets us down because he has protection from creatures. The one dude does, right?
No, that's another game.
That's second game.
That's the
Damn
second game.
These games.
Yeah. They mix up. Yeah, so I had Haunted Cloak on Sigarda along with Kestia as Bestow. Yeah. So it was a 9/9 flying hexproof trample vigilance with haste.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I was like, I'm gonna get through a little bit. I'm gonna be able to block a little bit. And she was doing some awesome work.
So Adam number 2 was...
and I had Thassa, so I was able to give it unblockable if I so chose.
So he was being able to draw. He had Sunbird's Invocation out, which was awesome, him being able to cast stuff with all that. And so Lowry had a choice. I was at, I think, 6 life, and Adam was at 5 life, and you had to kill one of us. And Adam would just cast a whole bunch of stuff. And Lowry is at 11, I believe. No, 8.
I was at 8.
Yeah, because you couldn't use your Sylvan Library and keep all the cards in your hand. We joked about it because you said if we get you down to 8, you'll kill yourself. And then we did it. And he's like, nah, I was kidding. You're like, you fucking liar.
I had you guys dead, not on board, but in my hand.
Yeah.
I had it. I was like, I'm not going to kill myself, Adoy.
Yeah. So he chose Adam, which was probably the smart play because... he was doing so much. He was able to cast a lot. He had enough mana out.
So I got through, killed Adam B.
And then I top decked Torment of Hailfire. Now, the funny thing is, Larry had 1 card in his hand, and his creature that was out made it so he could not sacrifice. He didn't have a choice to sacrifice, and so he had to take...
So I discarded 1 card and took 15 damage because I could not sacrifice anything because of Sigarda.
It was pretty freaking awesome.
That was I'm okay losing that way.
It was funny because I played it not thinking about it. I was like, oh man, so he's going to sacrifice.
Because you even had like joked the turn before. It's like, oh, do you got a Torment of Hellfire? I was like, I'm not black.
I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
And then you top deck it.
Yeah, so then I play it, and I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, does he have enough to sacrifice? He's going to probably do his life down to that. Can I still get him? And then as he's like taking his artifacts and he's sacrificing them, I'm like, I grab his guy. He's like, you can't sacrifice. And he's like, shit. So
that was an interesting gameplay right there.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
I lost, but I felt like a winner.
Yeah, you had the win.
Yeah. And I was playing a Sagu Mauler, which is 6/6 hexproof trample, and I could have switched over the Haunted Cloak to give it haste. Mm-hmm. And with Thassa in play, I could have given Sigarda and the Mauler unblockable, which would have killed you both. But Adam
he
countered the Mauler so that I could not kill you both. Thusly, I lose.
Thank you, Adam number 2. Well, we were working together at the end.
I was not complaining about counterspells at all. That was the proper play.
Yeah, because I already got countered 2 times that game.
Yeah, of course.
Counterspells.
Disdainful.
No, it was
Smothering Tithe.
It was the angel one where if I made tokens.
Yeah, Divine Visitation.
Yeah, I was like, This is game win.
You counter that.
Counter. Son of a bitch. Anyway, so we move into the second game. That one went a bit quicker. Lowry ended up winning that one.
Much more fun.
Yeah, much more fun because he won.
I had a 9/9 protection from creature, flying, lifelink, vigilance.
See, and I wasn't scared about that. It's what you did after that was the destroy all our creatures that don't have... He's like, I only have one board wipe in this whole deck. Well, guess what? He had it in his hand.
I did have it. And then that felt good.
Yeah.
Just like everybody's like building all this stuff up. I had 2 creatures with auras on them. And then I destroyed the board of everything that didn't have auras on it.
And something kind of crazy, which probably doesn't happen very often, I had 36 energy counters on mine because I had that double trigger with, what was the demon that comes in?
Dark Schemes? Demon of
Dark Schemes. So I had that and I had a bunch of creatures. It's whenever any creature dies. So even if it's a token or whatever, I was sacrificing them and then you board wiped and it was doubling it. And yeah, it was pretty sweet. But I got to use it once just to make it so I had more creatures to block with, and then you killed me first, and then Adam didn't have the answer to get back to you. So
it was a short game.
That was a short game, but it was still good. Like I actually enjoyed what Tesa was doing. I had double triggers going and all that. It just the board wipe kind of screwed me.
Yeah, playing Magic's fun.
Yeah. All right, so move into our next segment, which is. What would you do in this situation? All right. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. That was us singing beautifully.
In harmony.
Harmony, harmony, harmony.
Harmony.
All right, so you wanna start us off, Larry? What are we doing for what would you do?
The idea here is there are cards that you as a player or an opponent have to make decisions. And hopefully we're trying to help give you situations on what to do, when to do it.
So the biggest example of this
I did listen to another podcast. I listened to the Command Zone. They're kind of the biggest guys. And Josh Lee Kwai was talking about expropriate. And it was just like an offhand comment, and I was drunk, but I latched onto it. And
I was drunk.
And he was talking about expropriate, and that's where everybody makes a decision on the player that casts it either takes another turn or takes a permanent an opponent's permanent. And so obviously the person that cast it always says, I'm going to take another turn.
And so that's not
that's
not necessarily like always clear. Yes, you should
always give them a choice of taking something of yours.
Unless
let them take an extra turn.
Then there's the 1%, unless it's the game winner from them taking something that you have. That's the only. But the thing is,
if they're going to win that next turn,
if they're going to win because they're getting the extra turn, if there's something you can see obviously on the board, if they have what you have, they win the game. Of course, for example. What if you had the, any of the enchantments that say if you have 40 or more life, you win the game? Well, if you let them take that and they take their extra turn, they win the game. Yeah. So there's certain situations, I'd say 1% of the time.
Because that's not going to be, it's not going to be all the time.
Know what's on the board and decide there. But the thing is, what people tend to do is go, well, I don't want them to have my best thing.
Don't let the emotion get to you of giving up
the extra turns is what gets you killed.
That will kill you because they get to draw multiple cards beyond you, get to deal that damage whenever they want. Like it really builds up. And so like when he was talking about that, I was like, there's a reason why a lot of people like that guy. And so I kind of ran with that idea and picking other cards on how to play or how you could or should be playing with it.
So that's the whole concept of this. There's a lot more. We can also get suggestions of cards.
If you have any ideas, you can definitely send them in.
Yeah, message or tweet or whatever, or leave a comment underneath the YouTube, however you're listening to this. So, but we're going to go over a list of these, and then, like I said, this will be a reoccurring segment, so we'll come back to ones that maybe other people suggest.
We have a much bigger list than what we're going to talk about right now.
We had to cut it down. We're like, this could be an entire episode, and you're like, oh, let's just make it longer, like kind of like our CCC where it's a reoccurring.
Yeah, got to milk this one for all it's worth.
We got a lot of these now. We're starting to get some signature segments here, like segment number 2.
Not like that one.
All right, so
Episode
why don't we
20
start us off with the
something.
first one?
Okay.
One of your favorites.
I love this card.
And I think we've talked about it recently, too.
Heuristic Study, which is an enchantment for 2 colorless and a blue. And whenever an opponent plays or casts a spell, they can choose to pay 1. And if they don't, you draw a card.
So in this case, I'm just going to try to cast everything I can. Who cares? Fuck you. You can draw as many cards as you want, right?
Sure, don't do that.
But I think that's a big... This one's actually quite often that's why it's such a good card. Because a lot of people do try to utilize their whole... Like, okay, I have this plan. I have a 6-drop in my hand. I have 6 mana. I'm going to play it. Even though you have a 5-drop, you can do something else.
Yeah.
I don't care. You're drawing a card. It doesn't affect me. It's not killing me right now. Whatever.
I have absolutely had this card win me one game.
One game.
One game. Go Viking. So, like,
That's
this
an
card...
inside joke. Like, I laughed really hard at you
saying...
saying "Go Viking," and it really is just an inside joke.
Yeah.
Do we want to tell that story?
Sure, we can do that.
No, it doesn't matter. Do you
It
want
was
to?
texting, basically left off the S
Yeah.
during a game.
I was like, oh, so you just want one Viking to go? Like, you want go Viking?
And then I ran with that for years. Go one Viking.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Good story. Glad I made you do it.
And so, I think that is the right thing. I think what you want to be doing is casting lower, or like converted mana cost spells, still moving your board state forward, but you don't want them to be drawing a ton of cards.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand it if you're like already behind, like if you missed a land drop or you're not ramping like everybody else, you might feel like you need to keep at pace at least. Then I can maybe start saying like, okay, one person can be letting them draw like one a turn. But like when I see a whole table just go, well, I'm going to play a bunch of cards and you can draw 3-4 cards in before it gets back to you. That just became a bonkers card.
Yeah.
Like you just can't let them draw that many cards in between turns.
I see more often than not that people just let you draw cards.
Yeah.
At least if people, and especially if people are playing multiple spells in their turn.
Yeah.
They're letting you
Just,
draw
I'm
1-2 cards because they're like, well, I want to get both my stuff out. And that's the thing is people don't necessarily think. And that's the other thing too. It kind of depends on how you look at that time. If this is your only thing out, or you're at that threatening, then people really are more inclined to let you draw more.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
that's another aspect. If you're playing this card, don't play this card. And play it. It's fucking good.
Yeah,
but don't play it if you're the most threatening, because obviously.
Well, I think you still
it.
slow people down by casting.
But even
or having
better
them
is
spend
when
one
you're
more.
not as threatening, because people are going to be like, well, I
Let
feel
you draw.
bad for Lowry.
Yeah.
He needs to catch up to us. So, but then that can be the big advantage of getting back into the game.
And yeah, this card can turn games. This, like I said, you're drawing enough cards, you're going to win a game. It might not be as threatening as like a consecrated Sphinx either, of drawing 2 cards whenever an opponent draws a card. And so it's a quiet card.
Mm-hmm. It's not that quiet because you're just fucking going, hey, did you pay 1 for that?
So it is annoying in that regard as well.
Did you pay 1 for that?
People might target you just because you're saying you want to pay 1.
Do you want to pay 1?
So how I get around that annoyance is I sit there, I remind them at the beginning of the turn, remember to pay 1 for the spell. And then every time they cast a spell, I don't say anything. And then at the end of like a turn, if they haven't drawn a card, I go, hey, do you want to pay 1 or 2 for those spells so I don't draw a card? And they go, oh, I guess I can. Or, just to like make the game go quicker. Because if they're like, I don't care if you draw a card. But then I go, if you have extra mana, do you want to spend that so that I don't draw a card? So it's the timing rules are a little bit off when I do that kind of thing. But it does speed up the game, so they're Like, it doesn't stop stuff.
Foreshadowing to our maybe next week episode.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Not joking. We have started planning stuff.
Yeah, we're like weeks in advance. We're like, all right.
Week.
Well, could
Go
be
week
weeks,
in advance.
but we're moving some things around a bit.
Sure.
So this combined with Smothering Tithe, then you can be really annoying. Do you want to pay 2?
You want to play? Yeah.
I know I've used that joke already, but when we had Smothering Tithe.
Another card that's similar to Heuristic Study as well is Mystic Remora, which is cumulative upkeep. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, you get to draw a card unless they pay 4. And so that one I don't feel as bad about because it's probably not
going to stick around
forever.
Yeah.
And they are also casting mana, so they're going to, like if they're doing the upkeep cost 1, 2, 3, per turn, they're probably not also advancing their board state, which is a big difference. And so I think Mystic Remora is probably the more fair, less annoying card because it's also non-creature spells versus any spell that Rhystic Study does. And there is a dramatic price difference. I think Mystic Remora is a fine replacement, like $15 for Study, $3 for Remora. Like, I think that's a fair difference.
So you'd rather play that than this?
No. No, not at all.
You don't play bad cards.
If you're doing budget.
Yeah.
But I have plenty of...
So, kind of flipping into the opposite of this, in a way, Necrosar.
The Mind Razor.
So what this one does is everybody at the beginning of their upkeep gets to draw an additional card, but every time everybody draws a card, every opponent draws a card, they take a damage. So the opposite kind of happens here. And this is one that you mentioned to me. What you see happening when I do, because this is my commander, one of my commanders, and this definitely happens when it comes out.
And people that I've seen, they go, shit, I don't want to take like that little pinging damage.
Every time I draw, I got to take a damage? God damn it, that thing has to fucking die.
Yeah, and they try and kill it as soon as they can. And I'm like, why? And so my reaction to why like that is Necrosar is allowing the entire table to draw an extra card, right? Mm-hmm. So the let's say you are playing Necrosar, you get to draw one extra card, but everybody else at the table gets to draw another card as well. So that's 3 cards to your 1. So you're putting the table ahead of you. And so if you're trying to get rid of it as quick as you can, you're not gaining that advantage. It's basically a free advantage as an opponent to Necrosar. Mm-hmm. And so I always try and not kill it as fast as possible. There are definitely circumstances, though.
So things that I will throw on Necrosar, which gets it killed quick, is Infect, and then make everybody wheel their hands.
Yeah, grafted
one way.
exoskeleton.
Yeah. I have 2 in this deck. I have 2 Infect cards.
Like Tainted Strike, I think, the black.
The one that gets -1/-1 counter at the beginning of your upkeep, and then when it
that's the black aura.
Yeah,
blight something.
So that's when you kill it right away, because then if they put
if you're
Infect
poison,
on it, then what they're going to do next is, everybody just let's Windfall.
And I think you also need to worry if they have some way of protecting it on board, like a Lightning Greaves or a lightning or Swiftfoot Boots. Some way of like Shroud or Hexproof on it.
Because then they're planning something. Something's afoot.
Then it's kind of like, well, you can't do anything about it if they're wheeling, or you got to be ultra careful if you have another card that deals damage whenever you draw cards. So. There are multiple cards out there that say whenever an opponent draw a card, you lose a life. So if you're drawing 2 cards and taking 4 life, that's quite a bit more,
Then you start
obviously it's double.
Taking out some of the things. But like what the point of Necrosar is, people start to freak out because they're drawing cards and taking damage when they draw cards.
They don't want to take that damage.
And some of their decks are built, a lot of ours do that, is you're drawing more and more cards. Well, this is helping you draw at least an extra card for your turn. What we have seen, and I have seen when I play this, is the person that's about to my right. If they have a kill spell, you guys like the table will work together.
Until the end of turn.
Everybody gets their draw, and then that person kills it. Which that could work because it benefits everybody else gets their draw, and then the person that had them out gets it killed. But still, it staying on the board is helping everybody go through their deck, get the cards that they need for their things to work.
That damage, unless they're wheel into wheel into wheel, like you should. I think it's good enough that you hold up removal, instant speed removal, just in case.
Yeah,
that there are tricks and craziness happening, but at the same time, like you still want to get that card advantage. I think.
Yep. All right, we move into another card, and Lowry will.
This is probably one of my most hated cards.
Yeah, Lowry doesn't like when I play this card.
This one's Constant Miss, which is colorless and green for an instant, and it has buyback, sacrifice a land, and then prevent all combat damage this turn.
Yeah, so the buyback, sacrifice, and land is fucking awesome.
It's really good because that player can just continue to block or like get rid of any major damage coming their way.
So what do you do when this gets played then?
I attack them every turn.
Yeah. So what Lowry does, and I've played this, it's in my Rashmi deck, which it's the reason why it's in there is because I'm casting this on somebody else's turn, reveal the top card, blah, blah, blah.
Either into your hand or into play.
Yeah. So I'm able to cast it and play it and keep bringing it back and keep casting on other people's turns. So once Lowry sees that it comes out, he basically gets the whole table to go attack Adam. So he starts sacrifice. Yeah, they don't always listen because it's not like I'm not threatening at that point.
Yeah,
but he's like, we need him to sacrifice his land. Just get him to use up his land or let it go to the graveyard.
Yeah, and I'm fine that you're casting it, but I want you to be losing those resources in losing a land per attack if you so chose to be doing that. Now, if it's if you use it and it goes to the graveyard, I'm fine. But the card will... It really sucks when the table doesn't agree to attack into constant miss, because then it's just you're opening yourself up to the table for the cross attack.
Yeah.
That's not the real worm.
I don't know if I like that we're talking about this, because some of the people that we play with will listen to this and they're like, "Oh, that's why." Okay, now I'm going to attack Adam when he is. But I haven't played Rashmi in a while.
This is exactly why I want us to talk about
Rashmi. Pisses people off. Well,
because you're playing on
because I'm playing everybody's turn.
You're not only playing on other people's
really
turn.
Good, but it gets
last
annoying.
time you played it. The Prophet of Crufix was still legal.
Yeah.
That's the one I remember going, this is fucking awful.
Yeah. It was just like, oh, it's your turn. Well, this is the one deck I do have Paradox Engine in.
That's also true.
So, but yeah, Constant Miss it's a really good, I mean, that's why it's a $9 card. It's a really good card in general. If you're playing any green, a Constant Fog, Constant Miss, get the name. All right, next one we're going to talk about is Royal Assassin. We just talked about this one a few weeks ago, and we kind of stumbled upon it, and it's kind of an interesting one to discuss here. So it's 2 black and a colorless, and this is old school, man. Like, the one that we have pulled up and the one that I have, well, I have the newer ones too, but it's just like this old woman with an eye patch and a little knife.
You mean like a pirate?
Yeah, she looks like a pirate.
Knifey pirate? I don't know.
And somebody's drinking in the background and she's going to kill him, whatever.
Probably already poisoned it.
Yeah, so...
Oh, because they're drunk, they're going to be tipsy.
Yeah, and then
tapsy.
She can...
And deadsy.
Yeah,
see how that works?
Tap it? I see. So you tap, destroy any tapped creature. So what do you... how do you use this card? So we kind of
how we talked about it before
yeah.
was like... It makes you not want to attack. This is almost like more decision making versus like an Avatar of Woe that taps destroys any creature. Mm-hmm. Now this, you're like, oh, I can prevent this, and so it can almost be like a fog effect. Mm-hmm. So I actually don't know how to play against this card.
No, I think this card needs to go. And I said it when we talked about it before, where we kind of like stumbled into it. We're like, oh fuck, we should be playing this more. It's if you have it in play. They're not attacking anybody else either. It kind of puts the board at a stalemate, you know? Because
I think it can really slow down a game. Because if everybody just starts attacking, then you can just start choosing
right
whatever you
before
want.
it's your turn. You go, all right, kill that thing, and then it untaps, and then you wait until it goes around to your turn.
So maybe the best thing to do is attack with disposable creatures.
Mm-hmm. That's still going to get killed if there's something tapped, and I have Royal Assassin sitting there. I'm going to freaking kill it. But it could potentially turn the whole table at you to kill it because they're all, they could work together and be like, he's going to kill one of our creatures. Let's kill him before they can kill one of our creatures.
But even if somebody uses let's say they just use removal on it, technically that's not bad because a lot of removal's meant to hit anything and everything, huge. And this is just a repeatable removal spell to a degree. But at the same time, they didn't kill your commander. They didn't kill... Yeah,
they wasted on kind of
Oracle of Moldiah. They didn't kill, everything that's awesome. And so they killed this with it to, open up the board state. So it's definitely, I think, a very interesting decision-making card.
Yeah. I want to see it played more. We got to actually start to put these
I agree.
in... I think play black...
Very interesting.
We need to put this in because I honestly think this could take not take the place, but for black decks, this is the ghostly prison. This is the propaganda. This is the kind of deterrent of somebody trying to attack you. Now, those make it so it's harder to attack, and a lot of times people won't. But if it's late enough game, you can tap into it and use. You can still get the attack through this.
But even if you're attacking them and you tap the creature, they could just tap and kill your biggest creature too. It's just like, well, shit. And like I can see putting like Instill Energy or some type of untapper on this and just start machine gunning your opponents. I think that would. I think you could do some kind of fun stuff other than stalling the board, which sounds like shitty.
Yeah, I know. That's totally what it is, though. It's like somebody's going to kill it. Like that. I want to see this tested, and I bet you if it comes out, it's going to get killed. Or like you said, you'll attack with little things that don't really matter.
Yeah.
Like with Teysa, I would have still attacked. Oh, because they all had vigilance. Of course, I would have still attacked.
Yeah. And so vigilant creatures do get a bonus from that. And I think that becomes kind of important. But again, like if you're not planning on having vigilance in your strategy, I'm not sure how often that's going to come up.
Yeah.
Like a couple, like Bruna's a really good commander. If you have Royal Assassins amok in your
all of a sudden
play groups.
It starts going rampant with everybody. Why did Royal Assassin all of a sudden spike?
Yeah, we got that pull.
Oh man, yeah, because you can pick these guys up for under $1.
They've been reprinted so many times. They're cheap. And
but man, these are
black and a colorless is a cheap investment for potential just constant removal.
Yeah. All right. Second to last one.
So we have Browbeat, which is 2 colorless and a red for a sorcery. And then I should actually get down closer. Any player, I can't actually read it.
Any player may have Browbeat deal 5 damage to him or her. Make sure you got the him or her in there. If no one does, target player draws 3 cards.
So this card kind of starts in turn order. So it's not like I'll take it. There's actually a decision there. Like you're the next player, you got to go like, I'm not going to take the damage. And then you almost got to hope that somebody else will take the damage.
So what would you do in this one then? It kind of depends on your order, or not order.
I think it does depend on order, like life state.
Yeah, I was going to say where you are in the game.
This card becomes very good in red late game.
Yeah, so this one, if you're playing it, I would not play it turn 3.
Yeah, no. Somebody's just going to take 5. I think the first person takes 5 every time if it's turn 3.
So if you have this in your hand, you sit and wait on this one. Wait until your hand's pretty much empty. Everybody's life is getting low. Then you play it, and the lowest life person is most likely not going to take that 5.
Yeah, you're less likely. So the question ends up being like, get to a point where both are good. Mm-hmm. And that's... If somebody takes 5 life and they're taking a quarter of their life, that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
If they're going from 20 to 15 because they're trying to take one for the table and good for them, or you're drawing 3 cards, that's quite good late game as well in red. So I think this is a pretty interesting card, and it really is dependent on when you're playing it. But generally, like anytime you're above 20 life, I think you just take it.
Yeah.
You eat it. I think, you can kind of talk within the opponents going, hey, do you want to take it? Do you want to take it? Does anybody like actually in the better board state? Are you going to take this? And sometimes they're like, other times it's like, I don't care if he draws cards.
Yeah. That's me. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I don't care. And sometimes there isn't any real problem in that either. It's just like, well, they don't have any cards if they don't have any cards in hand, you take the damage. Don't let them draw.
Because they're just playing. You see what's on the board. Like, it's much better to take the 5.
But
there.
if they have like
a
four cards in hand, everybody's equal, then you probably just take it.
Yeah.
Or give them the cards. It's a pretty interesting card, I think.
You like to take it.
That's not how it works.
Right up the poop chute.
I'm a man.
I'm a man. I'm 40. All right, the last one is Stalking Leonin?
Leonin? Yeah.
Leo Little Long?
Let's call him Stalking Leo.
So this one is one of those hidden rival cards kind of thing. 2 and a white, 3/3. It's a cat archer. When it enters the battlefield, secretly choose an opponent.
Lowry? Write it down.
just know when I play this, it's not going to be a secret. It's always you. No, I'm just
Normally is the case.
Reveal that player you choose. Exile target creature that's attacking you. If it's controlled by the chosen player, activate this ability only once.
And so if my opponent has this, do I worry if I have the biggest board state? Like if I have the biggest creatures, do I just go, I'm going to kill everybody else and then get to you? Because it has to be attacking the player with Stalking Leonin.
So I would attack. You could test it out. I guess it depends on how many creatures you have. I may test it out and see, like, okay, I'll attack with these creatures at you that I don't care necessarily if they die, because it has to be the creature that's attacking you.
Correct. It has to be attacking them.
So then you can attack others with the other ones, your bigger ones, whatever. Kind of test the waters to see if you're the target. And then throw a little one that's a little bit bigger or something. I guess test it out.
because that could be like, what if they have a board state where none of your kind of good creatures can get through, where like you'd be trading off and they'd be like, well, I'm gonna block that guy, and
then it's kind of like anyway. Royal Assassin in a way, where it's like, all right,
true enough,
I'll go after other people. That's how I would play it. I wouldn't try to.
But the difference with Royal Assassin is you can always hit any tapped creature. This is a very a moment within that game of attacking them, and so, do you waste removal on this if you're afraid that they're going after you? Now, obviously, there are certain things, like if you have a huge indestructible on board, or something that has a bunch of auras on it. Yeah, you don't attack them with that. You avoid them, in my mind.
Now, casting wise, if you're the player that casts it, what would you do?
The two things that I would think about is there a huge threat on board, or is there like a commander that I'm worried about?
So do you ever try to forecast and figure out? I actually haven't played this card. Maybe I've played this once.
Up a bunch. Like, this is one card that I cut a bunch.
Yeah, because the part that stinks is a one-time use. Unless you can find a way to flicker it.
I mean, it's a 3/3 for 3. And then it has exile removal attached to it.
But so, I guess that's tough. Do you just go for the person that has, like, what if no one has a board state? This is 3 mana. This could come out right away. Or do you probably hold this then?
I think you hold it until until there's a threat on board.
Then you throw it.
But also,
out there.
I think if you have like a Maelstrom Wanderer player out there, which is like 7/5 haste commander, you go, well, I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to secretly name that player because they have a huge threat that has haste, and they're giving haste. Maybe you worry about cards. If there's a Lightning Greaves on board, then they have cards you can't target, which would not work. Yeah. See how much we've thought about this? It's so if you have some type of haste enabler or a hasty creature, I think maybe you worry about that player a little bit more too. If you know somebody like Kalia, if somebody's playing Kalia, you freaking toss that on them.
So even somebody that's not necessarily, if you play it mid-game, early game, kind of check out the commander and see what each commander could do. Even if it's not even in play, just see what the possibility is. Of course, if they have a freaking Planeswalker commander, you're not going to be able to kill it anyway. So don't go that route. But they might have more creatures that are going crazy. It's situational, of course. It's always situational. Man, I haven't played this card, so I don't know what I would necessarily do.
I think it's and I love these kind of cards that create that like decision tree of like, how do I do it? How do I play it? How do I play against it? And that's kind of what we're trying to do here.
We should just do a deck where it's all
question marks.
Yeah, it's just like, oh,
I got you.
What the fuck do you do here? What the fuck would you do?
I think I like your way of kind of tossing mid-level.
Yeah.
See creatures and seeing if they use it. And even so, I probably wouldn't toss anything at them that doesn't have some sort of protection on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely an interesting card, though. Piques my interest.
As casting it, I would be worried too that I think people would attack a little bit more. Attack you, just to test to see if am I the target. But if you have the
now, an interesting thing with this is like if you have it in a blank deck,
Yeah, you can keep doing it.
So you just
are
are super aggressive on that, and then Brago, blink it, choose another player, like the next biggest thing on board.
But they got to attack you.
They do have to,
because if you have a blink 182 is what I almost said.
But if somebody's like attacking you, if you have like instant speed blink, you could blink it, have it come back into play, and then choose that player, and then remove whatever card. This card seems cool.
You gonna play it now?
Maybe. I don't have a blink deck.
You used to, Brago.
I know, but that doesn't mean I have it now.
God, you kill so many decks.
I go through a lot.
It's crazy. All right, so let's move into our next segment.
Is that it? We have...
What?
I wish we had more.
We do have more, but we're going to have to save that.
More.
I mean, look at that. That took freaking 30 minutes just to talk about those. Yeah. All right, so we want to talk about just some news that happened this week. If you hadn't heard, it's
Modern or Horizons?
Horizons. Tried to say it with you, but I didn't do it really well. I didn't know you were going to start that already.
I don't know why I did it.
So this is the first modern legal set that's completely skipping standard, which is kind of crazy in itself.
I like that they're doing it.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. There's going to be new cards. There's going to be reprints
of cards that are not in standard. Or not standard, but modern.
I repeated you too. Repeater. I was trying to go harmonize with you, and I said standard with you. I'm
just gonna start fucking up on purpose that you repeat me and say stuff wrong.
I am an idiot. What?
Let's try that
I'm
over.
not an idiot. Stop it, Lowry.
New cards and reprints of cards not in modern. Obviously not including basic lands, but they made that notation.
Yeah, they did.
Because I'd be super pissed if I got basic lands. These are in modern. And obviously these are going to be legal in Vintage and Legacy as well.
And Commander.
So that's why this is important.
Yeah. Which, if it's going in, I guess let's go through it all. But if they're going to be in modern, they're going to be relatively strong cards to handle modern. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're trying to shake it up a bit.
So if they're strong there, there's certain cards that really won't affect Commander as much as they do. Like a lot of the look at somebody's hand, and that's going to be one of the ones we talk about.
One of them, yeah.
But that card in itself. We'll get into that. Let's keep going with it.
The important part of this statement is any modern legal card currently will not be printed in this set. And so if you're keeping an eye on fetches, they are currently going up. They will not be reprinted. Any of those.
So like I said last week with Crater of Behemoth, and I was like, we have some modern something that's going to be happening soon, and I was kind of worried about a reprint. That won't be reprinted.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
No, Snapcaster Mage, Liliana of the Veil, Tarmogoyf, none of these cards are going to be reprinted.
So, kind of a side spec. If you want to pick those up now, get ready because those are going to go up.
For those cards, get them ASAP, in my opinion.
Well, and they just a couple of them came out in Ultimate Masters, and that's about now.
Yeah,
the prices might go up a little bit with those.
I was going through Card Kingdom, and Snapcaster Mage was sold out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ugh.
So they might have more in stock, but at that point,
Card Kingdom is like the first place to see when the some of the stuff goes.
Yeah, spikes start happening.
But this is gonna be released June 14th. So my whole thing last week, where I was like, "Hey, don't they normally have a subset between?" Well, they aren't doing, like you kind of said, they aren't going to do a subset between Ravnica Allegiance and the Spark, but it's coming out after that. So release is June 14th. They're actually going to do a pre-release, which
draft pre-release weekend, June 8th and 9th.
It's going to be a 254 card set with a buy box,
which would be interesting. I wonder if it's going to be a different card, kind of like they've been doing for standard sets. Mm-hmm. If it's going to be its own unique.
Yeah, it's going to be a different card. Yeah. I mean, that's what it seems like in that 254 cards plus a buy box. So I'd assume that it's going to be a different card, like how
they've been doing.
Yeah. And then available on Magic. We don't care about that.
No,
but then
is $6.99. But they don't really tell you. They don't have MSRP anymore.
Yeah,
they took that away, and so you don't really know what the price is going to be. But it's probably going to be $10 a pack.
Yeah,
probably.
So the cards. Well, first off, what do we think of this?
I think it's going to get us a lot of powerful cards for Commander.
Now, there's going to be some cards that, there's some modern stuff where it's like name a card and then look through their library hand and blah 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 and get rid of those. Those kind of things don't really affect Commander because everybody has one, and that's the only thing with Modern that their cards don't affect us. Aren't as good. Everything else though you use in Commander. A lot of Modern cards are Commander cards.
Yeah.
So
it can be very good there.
Like the first one that they actually revealed is kind of what I was just talking about, was the Cabal Therapist, which is a one black, and it's a 1/1. It has Menace, and at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may sacrifice a creature. When you do, choose a non-land card name, then target player reveals their hand and discards all cards with that name. So
you're not going to get multiple cards in Commander, obviously.
But the thing is what I like about this card is you're able to do it every turn.
Once a turn at your pre-combat. The first time you're guessing at somebody's hand.
You're like, you're playing a Necrosar deck. I'm going for Wheel of Fortune. Nope, don't have that. Okay, now I see your hand.
And then you know that what cards you need to pick out of it, if it's worth sacrificing a creature and stuff like that.
So I could see this being used in... I mean, I would put this in Tesa because I'm looking for a sacrifice outlet.
Being a 1/1 menace for 1 is not a bad thing either. That's pretty aggressive, but the menace part seems pretty important. So I think it's a powerful card. It's
not as good as the other card that they revealed.
But with Cabal Therapist, like Cabal Therapy isn't good enough for Commander, but this being on a body, and
you're able to use multiple times. I know Cabal, you can use that twice. This you can use it if people don't kill it right away. If you're not really affecting the board.
If somebody does that to me and they see the crazy thing in my hand, I'm going to try and get that crazy thing out of my hand as soon as possible. It almost would make me more aggressive, going, well, it's just as good as a kill spell.
Yeah. And then, the other thing is, if you don't have anything crazy, then they just go to the next person and want to see everybody's hand before they actually do anything. They go, all right, next turn I will look at blah blah blah's hand and see what they have. And that's kind of the nice thing, is you get an advantage of seeing their hand.
I can see this going in like a Natha the Guilt Leaf type deck, where it's whenever an opponent discards a card, you put a 1/1
elf in the
so you're getting the 1/1. You can sacrifice that to do something else.
Yeah,
like do another creature, and you potentially are getting that elf back anyway.
Yeah.
So that could be pretty cool in there.
So, okay. So we finally have a Sarah Angel Planeswalker.
Sarah the Benevolent. It's a Planeswalker for 2 colorless and a white. Starts with 4 loyalty. Its +2 is creatures you control get flying and +1/+1 until end of turn.
Creatures you control with flying get 1/+1 until end of turn. Yeah.
Again, can't really read it.
That's all right.
Its -3 is you create a 4/4.
Sarah Angel.
It's Sarah Angel.
4/4 flying vigilance.
Which seems
used
quite
to be
good in
the best card ever. And then it's -6, which, remember, the first one is a +2, so you can hit ultimate by your second turn.
With it in play. Yeah.
So you get the emblem.
If you have a creature, your life total can't go lower than 1.
So it's pretty ridiculous.
I can see this going in my hexproof and then destructible decks.
That would suck.
This would be Worship is in my deck. So, but this card seems really good for Modern. Like this, I think is it's a 4/4 flying vigilance for 4.
Yeah,
that's basically what it is.
Can create a token right off the bat, a 4/4.
Yeah, that seems really powerful. 4/4. This is a playable Planeswalker in Modern. I think this is quite good in Commander. You have your Angel decks like a Lyra Dawnbringer. It's actually a 5/5 lifelink vigilance flying. Like that seems really good for 4 mana. And I think just a 4/4 body for 4 is quite good.
Yeah, this is pretty ridiculous. And it's Sarah.
Also, I personally am disappointed that they have Sarah in this set.
Why is that?
Well, I feel like I
you want her to be part of the actual...
It should have been a Commander.
Yeah.
Instead of like maybe Nahiri or whatever. It should have been a Commander... been able to be a Commander.
Yeah.
Should have been able to be a Commander. Oh, I get what you're saying.
So you could actually... I gotcha. Yeah. You're a general, so one of the ones that can actually be... Gotcha. Yeah, I agree. Well, maybe they'll change that rule.
They won't. They've had some time to think about it, and I don't think they will.
Not
So.
yet.
I think there's just it emptied too many cards into being commanders, and I think it would just be too much chaos at this point.
They would just have to ban certain ones.
That's no fun.
All or nothing. So yeah, this one we have a few months yet. Well, we have the Spark first, and then this will come out
War
this
of the
summer.
Spark, and then this later on.
But be prepared to see some pretty cool spoilers, but I don't think they'll spoil anything. They said, oh wait, they did mention something. There'll be a couple more spoilers at one of their Magic Fests, I think, coming up. I think is what I heard when I was watching.
I didn't see that, so I don't know.
I was watching the Twitch thing when they actually were announcing it. So there will be cards coming out, spoiler-wise. So we'll tweet those when that happens. But first, Spark is coming out first, so that's more of what we're looking at. But these cards will probably be pretty damn nuts.
I'm already excited. Like, they definitely got me excited for the product. And I am looking forward to getting a box.
Question mark?
Well, I mean, it's as long as the prices are okay.
Yeah. All right, we move into our last segment, so we don't have
No
specs of the week because this is kind of a spec segment in a way. So we're calling this the TCG Cart Fillers. So as you know, if you guys buy from TCG, some of you may just buy from eBay or whatever, or Card Kingdom or whatever, but TCG, you can get a lot of great deals for pricing and everything.
Sure.
We've talked about the advantages and disadvantages of each. eBay, if I can find the card at that price or close to it, I will go to eBay and buy it, only because eBay bucks and you don't get the tax, where TCG now has the state tax that's involved with all that. Otherwise, most of the time, I'd say 7 times out of 10, TCG is the cheapest. So the one problem is when you're speccing, if you're into speccing, if you have noticed this, if you don't spend $2 or more on
they don't send it to you.
Yeah, so you have to find things to get over the $2. They do have something that's coming out this summer.
And this is kind of what sparked it. Is apparently they're going to charge you like 70-80 cents if you're under $2. So right, is that what's going on?
78 cents, right. I think. Yeah, I think they're for some reason 78 cents. I don't know why they picked that.
78 cents.
But they're kind of, I don't even know if they're testing it right now, but it's not happening until this summer. I think it was like June or something like that. But
it's like, why not just fill your cart with 78 cents worth of cards to get over that $2 mark?
So yes and no. I would say most of the time you would do that. Fill it with something, even if you're just like, all right.
Unless something's going crazy.
Yeah. So like, for example, the ninjas, when Nijitsu, that commander came out,
Eureka.
Lowry and I were texting back and forth.
That was our first Insta-spec on Twitter.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lowry's like, boom, the Ninja Commander. Well, I immediately I was driving home when that happened, got home, started putting them in my cart. By the time I went to check out, half of the ninjas that I had put in there were gone. And so I only got half the amount that I got. I still got mine. Now, if this rule, the 78 cents thing was in play, I would have been able to get those all right away.
You wouldn't really search through it.
I would just check it out.
Yeah. And that makes sense. Like, you want those cards, you want it to be as quick as possible.
Yeah. So in those cases, you want to kind of have, I guess this is what we're going to kind of discuss here, is if you need to check out as fast as possible, just look for their first card that's really cheap that gets you over that hump, I guess.
Click. Yeah.
Until they make that change of the 78 cents where ninjas went from picking them up for under $1 to selling them for like $20. It was a freaking, some of them were ridiculous.
A huge change. And I think that's, it's definitely worth taking the 78 cent hit, especially if you're going for foils that are super cheap at that spiking process type thing.
But for most of the time, we aren't hitting like that. So most of the time, it's like specs that we talk about during the week where you have time to buy them. They're starting to go up, but you have time to fill out your cart and everything. So what we want to talk about here is like, what cards do you kind of go after? So in your situation, I
generally don't jump into that, like, just that feeding frenzy.
Yeah.
Unless it is completely obvious, like
Ninjas. You jumped in on that one too. Yeah.
But like with walls, I didn't hop in, even though that was pretty clear. I just didn't know how popular that would be because it already had like Doran as a semi niche for that.
Mm-hmm.
But Ninjas was a clear. And so I was like, hop on that. But when it comes to the not feeding frenzy part, I have a lot of things that I go for. Like, as in, my main thing is if it's a card under $2 and I only want, like, if I'm kind of specking on it, I find dealers, even if it is a little bit more, dealers that have multiple of them that can get me over $2.
For sure. That's the first thing I could look for. Yep.
So, like, as an example, you'll probably bring up Sphinx of Foresight as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw it on TCG for 20 cents a piece, regular non-foil.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was around 20, ish cents. I found one dealer that had 11 of them.
So you're like,
I bought 11 of them. I'll
like
give you my 220.
Yeah,
like, that's
exactly.
fine. And that just saves a ton of time
Mm-hmm.
on looking through their store. It's just like, boom, I'm taking it, even if it's a 5-cent loss, whatever. And so that's the first thing I do is look for somebody with multiple copies that'll get me over 20.
Yeah, if it's in the price range, in the realm of the other ones, but sometimes you do find them where it's like $2 cheaper than the next one that has 2 copies,
Sure.
and you're just like, fuck, I
I
gotta
don't wanna
find
do that.
something else in this. I'm getting a good deal if I can get this card. So a lot of times you go to their storefront and you start searching through and pick out something. And is that kind of what you do then too? Is like, if it isn't multiple copies, you just go to their store and see what they have, like their storefront, or do you even do that part, or is it just?
I don't do it that often because generally I will sit back and just be like, it's not worth it to me. It's like I'm generally I have like a semi list that I'm going for, and so I'm going to spend $50 to $100. And it's like, I'm already going to spend that money. I can skip it and keep it for later. And if I miss a spec, oh well.
Yeah.
So like sometimes you just got to make sure like it's okay to miss something. It's better to, just get the ones that you like. And if you really, really like a spec, then I think you go out of your way, or maybe go and find it on Card Kingdom and find a bunch of cards like that as well. Because shipping is mixed in there as well. So like sometimes you can go.
That's the hard part, is like, then I go to Card Kingdom and it's like, well, yeah, they have this at a good deal, but then there's nothing else I want from them, and then the shipping kicks your ass.
Yeah, there was I was buying, I think it was Eternity Vessel, the Zendikar. Whenever you play a land, your life total goes back to where it was. You guys should have told me that should be in my Lycia deck, and then I was like, yeah, that should be in my Lycia deck to me. And so I got it foil, and that I found it $5 on TCG. It was $5.50 on TCG, $5 on Card Kingdom. And I was like, well, no, it's much better on TCG because I grouped it in with some stuff, even though it was a little bit more expensive.
Wait, it was
because
better on TCG or better on
TCG, even though it was 50 cents more.
Oh, I thought you flipped it. I thought it was 50 cents more. You're right. Yeah.
Because the shipping was with multiple cards on TCG.
Yeah.
And they'd be equivalent shipping costs. So I'm just skipping on the Card Kingdom cost essentially.
Yeah.
At that point. So you got to do a little bit of mental math. And I think that's also important to talk about in TCG. If you find a card that's a little bit more expensive, what is it? So they go by price of card plus shipping. And so sometimes you'll find a card, like one card that's $2.20, and then the shipping's like $2. And you're like, oh, that's kind of gross.
Yeah.
But if you go, and they only have one copy. But if you go to another one that's like $2.30 with $2 shipping and 6 copies, that divides each card goes.
That's exactly what I do too. Yeah. So
for shipping costs,
I flip back and forth because it starts with the price plus shipping as the cheapest. So I look at those to see, okay, where are my prices there, and then I'll flip it over to just the price. And a lot of times you'll see, they have $3 shipping, but they have 11 copies. Well, that $3 gets cut way down, and it's
you're
so much
dividing that
cheaper
between 11 cards.
Yeah. So then you figure out, you calculate that out, and you're like, oh man, this is so much cheaper to go that way. Yeah.
So that's something that you want to be looking into. Again, we're going over concepts right now, and we'll keep on adding in cards for specific things.
Yeah. So another thing that I've been doing is go for cards that you're using in your deck or that you pimp out your deck. For example, like we use proxies for our expensive cards. So the expensive cards that we have are sitting in binders. And so we were making, these nice looking proxies. They're still not the actual cards, so the foils and all that stuff. So the way that I actually pimp my decks out is I use full art land. I try to use the Unstable. Is by far still my favorite lands. Before Unstable came out, which was, we're over a year now, a year and change when it came out, I was going for all the full art, Zendikar,
Amonkhet,
all the full art land. I love that. So I was going after those. So I have tons of those lands. But right now I'm kind of in a kick where if my cart is under $2, I go to their storefront and I look for unstable lands. If they don't have unstable lands, then I go for foil full art land. If they don't have the foil full art land, I do check out the foil regular lands, and I've been picking those up as well. Because you can get the foil full art from Battle for Zendikar. Those I've been picking them up for like $1.50 at the most.
That's a really good price.
Yeah, so it was just like, fuck yeah, I'll take that. And they're in near mint condition, light play, near mint. They look amazing. They're exactly the same as the Zendikar ones, but the Zendikar ones are $15 plus.
Sure, yeah, because they were around when there wasn't many options. Now there's much more option, and so there hasn't been like a price correction.
Yeah,
there's price memory on the original Zendikar foil lands.
Yeah. So that's my first target, and if that store doesn't have that, then I kind of actually am just starting to formulate this list. I always have had a mental thing of like, okay, these are the cards I've been going after for the last month, and so I'll type those in. So, for example, foil End Raises or foil the Phoenix. What one is that? Oh, Sphinx, not Phoenix. Sphinx of the Foresight. Foresight. Yeah. I know those off my head, because I've been already specking on those. So those are ones that'll go in first.
Yeah.
But now what I'm actually starting to do is formulate a list of going through, and it's pretty much standard stuff that I'm going through, and I'm like, okay, any of these cards I wouldn't mind having multiple copies of.
Sure. Yeah.
So I guess that's the next tip, is kind of make a list and have it so it's next to you. If you find a spec that you're liking, go down your list and just start going through and be like, okay, these cards are underpriced for Commander, and I think these will go up. Or if it's a pet peeve thing, not pet peeve, it's a pet deck. You know what I'm saying? Like the foil full art lands. It's something that I like.
Yeah.
And I don't mind having multiple copies of that. So that's kind of one of the tips. I mean, right now, like I said before, the Sphinx, I mentioned that. N-Rays, those are foils. Smothering Tide, we'd mentioned that a bunch. Electro Dominance, so that was one of the cart fillers I just got last week. I got that for $1.
Electro Dominance, yeah, you can get it under for $2 on TCG.
It was insane. That card's so good.
It's quite good.
So that's what I'd say, is make a list of cards that are $4 and under that you like, and kind of just start.
And that's where I would even go cheaper. I would go under $1.
Yeah. Well, again, for sure.
In non-foils, for me, like I think I just try and get like a handful of non-foils, and then I just kind of, because again, I'm trading, not selling. And the higher, So the thing, like, I know it's on your list, Pestilent Spirit.
Yeah.
That's the 3/2 Menace, Death Touch, and it gives your burn spells Death Touch. Like, I think I bought like 7 of them for 40 cents a piece.
It's super unique.
That card is
like
crazy cool.
It's just
it's
a unique effect to it that you can see Commander taking that and using that in multiple ways. That's on my list. I have Light Up the Stage on there. That's not foil because foils are so fucking expensive.
Sure.
Just Light Up the Stage, I think, is a good card. Emergency Powers. Emergency Powers is a mythic.
It's $1.
Yeah.
I did get one. That goes into another thing that I do is I look for cards I don't have already as well.
Correct, yeah.
So that I'm expanding my collection of cards that I can use and play with. Because that's why I'm doing this, is I want to play the cards too. And so I want at least one. And so if I'm just looking to kind of pick it up, I kind of add it into a cart, and that kind of helps out as well. And so like I said, I got emergency powers. I found have you ever heard of like Urza's Helix?
I don't think I have heard of that.
It's an artifact. I want to say it's 4, and then you pay X, tap it, and you get to like tap X target lands.
No,
And so it's like it's a really like unique card in my mind. Mishra's Helix. Sorry.
Oh, Mishra.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've never seen this card.
So it's 5X, tap it, tap X target lands. I was like, man, that would be really cool in my like. I don't have the deck anymore, but Roshin Meander, which is tap it, it gives you 4 colorless mana for X spells and abilities. So you can tap this, tap down other people's land, and you're not using any of your land per se. And so you could potentially, you're going to be ahead in mana in that kind of game, and so you could tap somebody out every turn.
That seems like a dick move.
You're welcome.
But so this is something that you've been throwing in.
It's something where I'm like, oh, I had a deck where this could have worked in. That'd be kind of cool. Didn't know it existed.
So we picked it up in your
and so I just picked it
card
up and I was
filler.
like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So and like you look at it, and again, it's a reasonable card. I think I picked it up for right around $1. I'm not going like crazy because the more expensive cards I end up trying to I add that when I'm going through cards and I'm like, oh, that's an awesome card, but it's more than I want to pay for it. I'll add it to my trades list.
And see if
and
you
then
can
I'll
get
try
it
and
through
see
there.
if I can get it through trades on CardSphere at this moment in time is where I'm trading from. So I'll add it to that list, and then I can passively try and get it, which is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So
Cool stuff.
I'm not sure if that's...
Do you have all your list stuff? Well, I guess my right now is the cards I kind of mentioned, and then also I start with the land because it's the easiest. You know, it's the easiest way to fill it because most stores on TCG have lands. Like I said, first off unstable, then foil full art, and then foil regulars. And then if they don't have that, sometimes, you know, I'll type in this stuff for the ones I have offhand, but now I'm starting to put this list together, and I think it's a good idea because then you can just kind of scroll through your list and see which ones you have. And like you said, adding to your collection, you can go through that and see what cards you don't have that you want to add to your collection, see if they have it. It just depends on how much time you want to spend. So a lot of times I get through the land section and maybe a couple of these cards and I'm like, all right, fuck that story. I'll take it off my card. Because sometimes they don't have, you know, they have one good deal and then everything else is overpriced.
Sure.
So at that point, you just got to cut your losses because then you're spending too much time trying to find one card, or you can just go to their most popular cards and pick out something if it's really that good of a deal. You know, the card's under $1 or under $1, and it's really, you could sell it right now for $3 or it's almost out of inventory. Well, maybe at that point you do just buy something else that you could have that you don't have, you know, add to your collection like you said.
The other thing that I would add in, then I'm running out of ideas, is so since we do proxies and that allows for our more expensive cards to kind of be pimped in that certain way where it's like a full art, good looking promo or card, the one thing that I do is I look through cards that I do use frequently, like an example, like a Hull Breach, which is red-green, you can destroy an artifact and or enchantment. I will try and look for that in foil, knowing that I will always have at least one going in some of my decks, and if not more. So like, they're just cards that are like $5 and under that I use consistently in foil, and that's kind of where I go for it on that.
And going with that too is this is the time where I don't mind, minus the lands. You know, I like to try to get the foil ones. This is the time where I'm like, okay, I can have Sphinx of the Foresight in non-foil. I don't mind having multiple copies of that if I'm getting it for super cheap just to fill my cart, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the thing is like, yeah, find the foils because they're cheap as well too if they have them. But most likely they're going to not have the foils. They'll have the non-foil stuff. Put those in there. I mean, those are good cards that are going to be used potentially. Could, if the rule change happens with mulligans, those could go up. So it could even be a good spec there, or even, you know, I mean, end rays, those are like 20 cents a piece.
And with us doing the Smith Specs of the Week at the end of the show, like we always have a running list as well, which helps because we always can go back and look, oh yeah, we did kind of spec on that, and has it changed, has it not, is it worth getting still? And we're essentially creating a list as we're going through, and you guys can always go back and check out the ones that we've done in the past. And so that it should be also a helpful resource on cards that could be, if you agree with it.
Yeah. I could run through my list, but a lot of these we've actually talked about or at one point mentioned that were really good cards. But, I mean, there's a bunch of them. You can look at the under $2 on Goldfish right now, and you can find a bunch of them that are really good for Commander.
Sure.
That you could use. But
the other thing I would also mention is cross-reference. So TCG oftentimes is cheaper, but not always.
Right.
And so, like you said, you can go with eBay, you can go with Card Kingdom or whatever online store or physical store location that you have, and then you're like, well, actually I can get it cheaper here. And you always can make that choice and see, because oftentimes I'm going Card Kingdom and TCG and cross-referencing, and generally I'll have like a block of like $20 out of Card Kingdom where I'm like, these were just cheaper here and I have enough cards that I want to buy from you right now.
So then you'll go that route.
So then I can go that route and just kind of add it in.
With eBay, the little tip there is the single might not be as cheap, but if you do the ×4, sometimes, a lot of times that's a lot cheaper. So if you're wanting more than just one copy, check out eBay. Sometimes the ×4 is a lot cheaper than if you were to buy 4 from TCG or from different vendors from TCG.
Sure. Yeah, oftentimes though on eBay they don't have more than 4.
Yeah.
Which is, with Card Kingdom they'll have the number there, but
it
goes up to like 8.
You'll come across people that have the ×4. I do that ×4, and you have multiple copies of that, where it's you have 8 of them, and they just have to click it.
Like 4
go
bundles
to
of it or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, this has turned into just the tips. It did. Actually, this should have been the name of this.
I hope you enjoy just the tips.
Just the tips. Just the tips from TCG.
Can you edit out that beginning?
Yeah. Just the tips, and then I'll put that right at the beginning.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I didn't talk there either.
All right, that should do it for our episode today, whenever you're listening to this.
That wonderful time that you are listening.
Yeah. So next week, are we for sure doing what we're talking about for next week?
We never are for sure. We're a fluid production.
We're gonna potentially talk about tips to give you a quicker gameplay, which we kind of mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And then we have a name for the... we're not going to tell the other one because I don't know if that's the name we're going to use. I did not give anything away. I do not know what you're talking about.
You should mumble it like we're on like a Lifetime show where they're not supposed to like face or voice.
Don't do it
like... I was going down the alley. Like
Game of Thrones where Bran's... He's in the dream, not the dream where he's oh fuck, we're gonna never mind. I'm not gonna go Game of Thrones it, but you're in you're like listening, but you can't hear what she's saying when she's saying Jon Snow's stuff.
Oh sure, yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Jesus,
I didn't say it. It said Jon Snow stuff. It's no big deal. No NBD. That was stupid.
Is that a saying?
NBD?
No, it isn't.
NBD?
Don't try and start stuff here.
I wish I was the one that I made that up. Yes.
Oh, you're not?
No. All right. Anyways, you guys can follow us on Twitter
at CommanderSmiths.
You guys can check us out on YouTube, subscribe and like and share and all that fun stuff.
Shilling. At CommanderSmiths.
You can Gmail us
at CommanderSmiths.
And you can find us on Patreon
at CommanderSmiths.
Donate, and you could you will get a proxy of your choice for the proxies of the week.
How about you will donate and you will potentially get a proxy? How about that?
So you gotta go on Twitter. Sorry. And if you are donating, I'm guessing you're following us on Twitter too, but then you can actually pick through the ones of the proxy of the week.
Yeah.
So, all right, that should do it for this week.
Yeah, we'll link all this stuff down below.
Donate. No, I'm just kidding. Please. All right, we'll see you guys next week.
Love begging.
See ya.
Bye.
Did you say love bagging?
Begging.
Oh, begging. It's like bagging.
Bagel, not like, a bagel, you jerk.
Are we tea bagging?
No, we're tea begging.
Oh, sexy kind of.